why hard work is not the answer that we all think of. I remember my entire life, I thought if I just work harder, I'll make more money. If I just work harder, if I just work harder. And then I found myself working so hard that I actually sacrificed my family. I didn't spend time with my kids. I didn't spend time with my husband. I literally just worked and worked and worked. And though the money came in, the sacrifice was too big. Okay. And that's what I hope you avoid. I always like to say that a lot of us entrepreneurs, we come into being an entrepreneur because we think freedom. And this is that freedom fallacy. We think freedom from being an entrepreneur, but we actually replace our 9 to 5 for a 5 to 9. That's what we do as entrepreneurs. So I want to reshape that and give you have you think a little bit differently of how you're structuring your business. And if you're already having a successful business, stepping back and starting to implement some of these slowly, but implement them because systems will help you make more money, alleviate a lot of the stress that you have, and even make your business stickier. Okay. So we'll talk a lot about that. So my core message for this part of the freedom fallacy is freedom isn't doing less. It's actually designing things better. Okay. So it's not necessarily that you're doing less. So you're not doing less for your clients. You're not having less value for your clients. You're just designing it better. I like to use the example of level up score. So a lot of people are like, oh, if you automate everything, you lose the value that you're giving to your clients. Using level up score has significantly increased the value that I provide to my clients, but it also significantly decreased the time that I need to spend with the clients, right? Or spend doing the work with the clients. So again, I'll say that again, freedom isn't doing less. I actually do more, but I have better systems that I've designed, better automations that I've designed. So even though I'm providing more value, doing more for the client, I actually have more freedom. So hopefully that sticks with you and kind of brainstorm around that. So my talking breakdown today, I'm going to talk about 4 different things here. Number 1, the hard work trap. Number 2, the growth paradox. Number 3, 3 signs you're trapped in the freedom fallacy. Okay. And number 4, the mindset shift. Okay. So we're going to go back up to number 1, the hard work trap. Most entrepreneurs think, me included, that if you push a little harder, that you'll get ahead. But you're not building freedom. This isn't building freedom. You're actually building a bigger cage for yourself. Again, I'll use that same example. You traded your 9 to 5 for a 5 to 9. You create a bigger cage for you to sit in. You have a job. You don't have a business. Okay. When you think that you need to work harder and push a little harder and push a little harder. I know I've been there, done it. So many years I did it. So many years. I didn't understand the concept. I think I heard all my life, work hard, work hard, then play, work hard, then play. I never got the play part because I had to work so hard. Does that make sense? I think a lot of you probably feel that same thing. If your business falls apart when you are not doing the business, when you take a day off, then you don't actually own a business, you own a job. Okay. People ask me all the time, okay, how do you sell a business? You've done that. You've scaled a business and sold a business. How did you do that? Well, because I sold a business. I sold an asset, not a job. So again, everyone is going to have an exit strategy at one point in time in your life, whether that's just you close down your business, you sell your business, you give it to someone else to take on. So make sure you have things in place today for that future event. Make sure you have things in place today so you can go take a vacation for 30 days, right? Wouldn't that be great? I have a friend of mine, she took a vacation for 1 year from her business. And then she was talking to me on the phone and she's like, you know what? I think I want to go back to work. Think about that. She took off 1 year off of her business and one day said, you know what? I think I want to go back. And it wasn't she was going back because the business was falling apart. No, actually was doing better than when she left, but she was ready. She wanted to go back in, jump back into it, right? How great of a feeling if you had the opportunity to do that as well. So that's the hard work trap. Don't believe that by you working harder yourself, that you're going to somehow be better. You're going to be more successful. You're going to make more money. You might. I did. I made more money, but I traded time for money and I traded, in essence, happiness for money. So I got all the money and I couldn't spend it on anything that I like to do. Do you guys hear me? Do you feel me? Right? So think about that. Number 2 is the growth paradox. Every new client adds complexity to your business. Again, growth paradox. Every new client adds complexity to your business. Think about that for a second. So we keep saying we want more clients, but every new client adds complexity, not just money. Okay. So if your systems don't grow with you, you're going to scale with chaos. You're going to scale where you don't have time to do anything. You're going to scale and you're going to be just, again, working harder, right? You're going to have more stress, right? So consider that. I've actually seen this on multiple occasions where a credit repair organization, a coach, a financial advisor, even a gym, they would scale from 50 clients to all of a sudden 150 clients, right? And they actually had less profit. So they made more money at 50 clients than they did at 150 clients because they didn't have structure in their business. So because they didn't have structure, they had to then go hire some outsourcing to do this and do this and do this. And it was a higher cost. And the end result is they were working harder, spending a lot more time in their business, working in their business, and not actually making more money. And that is not where we want to go with our business. So those are the growth paradox. Number three signs you're trapped in the freedom fallacy. Number one, you're still doing everything yourself because you say something like, well, no one can do it as good as me. That's okay. If someone can do it 80% as good as you, take them on. Okay. So, or you don't have clear processes. You're relying on your memory to do your job. And I know a lot of people do this, right? They rely on their memory. Okay, when a client comes in, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. Instead of actually having a system together, they're relying on memory. They don't have a CRM system to remind them of what needs to happen. They're just relying on memory. I did this for years. I started 23 years ago when I had manila folders on my desk and had those little folder rings. Some of you might have those on your desk. I don't know if that's a thing anymore. Anyway, I would have the clients in there and I would rotate them out of there every 30 days. So you would come in and then the next 30-day rotation. So I had all these piles on my desk and I had an employee who would file them back in alphabetical order. And that's kind of our system because we didn't have a CRM system at that time. That was something that wasn't available, right? And so I had to oftentimes rely on memory. And then I created systems which had a little piece of paper inside the manila folder that said, here are the things I need to do. And I would check them off, right? Wasn't perfect by any means, but I started to adapt and create systems because I was forgetting things because of I was relying on memory of what I was supposed to do. So really, really important if you want to alleviate this idea of, I'm going to have more clients and I'm going to rely on my memory and everything's going to be fine. It's not going to be fine. It's not going to be fine. So making sure that you have clear processes is important. The third sign, you feel guilty stepping away from business. You can't do it like I just told you, my friend who stepped away for a year. You couldn't do that because you would know that it would fall apart, right? Or 30 days or even one day. I know I've been in the situation where I was like, oh my goodness, if I get sick even one day, I can't even imagine what's going to happen, right? And so those are some traps that you may find yourself in. You're trapped in that freedom fallacy, okay? Number 4, the mindset shift. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems. Let me say that again. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems. Okay, you need systems in place. Systems will help you. When you have systems in place, it'll help you remove decision making. And I like Tony Robbins says it really well. He says that if you make a firm commitment about something, it is so much easier to accomplish that thing because there's no decisions that you have to make. Okay. So for instance, if I make a firm decision that I'm going to do the millionaire's morning routine that I have, so I have 6 steps in that routine. If I make a firm commitment that I'm going to follow those 6 steps, then there's no decision making that I need to make. I'm going to do step number 1, step number 2, step number 3, 4, 5, 6. And if something comes in to disrupt my routine, the answer is always no, right? If it's the alarm clock is going off at 3:30 in the morning, if my routine is a commitment that I'm making, a firm commitment, and I know that 3:30 means I have to get up at 3:30 so I can complete the 6 steps in the time that I want to complete them, right? Then I know that I don't have to make a decision about whether or not I'm going to wake up at 3:30 in the morning or 5:30 or 6:30 or whatever time you wake up. I don't have to make a decision on that. I just know that that's what I have to do. And it really, really helps when you take that decision, remove the decisions out of the process. When you remove decisions, you actually create more peace for yourself and you get more done. Okay. So systems will help you build that. So this is that mind shift set shift that I want to see you thinking about is like, hey, in everything that I do, if I can create a system or a framework for that, I alleviate the decision-making process because this is just how we do it, right? Like the GAIN method. When I get a new lead come in, we go through the GAIN method. Goal, awareness, insight, next step. Everybody knows that. My whole organization knows we do the GAIN method. So we don't have to rely on memory. We have a framework. We've named it. It's easy to repeat. It's easy. It's marketable. It helps us stay on track with everything. It's a system. So we don't have to make decisions about what's going to happen when this lead comes in. How are we going to handle this lead, right? We have a system. So feel free to take the GAIN framework that I taught last week and apply that into your business. I think you're going to find it is what doubled my business. But now today, again, we're talking about, okay, now we doubled the business. How do we handle the busyness of that? Okay. So I do have an exercise for you in this first part of the segment. And I call this the Freedom Audit. Okay. So I would encourage you to grab a notebook and you're going to list every task that you do throughout the day. Okay. So just write down every task you do. Now, if you're not sure, and you're like, you know what? Allie's talking about this memory thing. I don't know. My days are pretty chaotic. I don't have a set schedule of how I do anything. It's just whatever happens, happens. Great. Fine. What I would encourage you to do is open up a Zoom and share your screen. Talk out loud as you do every single thing that you're doing. When you have a phone call, it's being recorded. When you're, doing an audit of a credit report, or you're going through Level Up Score and running an action plan, everything is done, and you're talking out loud as you do that. We're going to create a transcript of the different tasks you do. You can use that information to essentially do what I just said about listing every task that you do. Okay. Once you have all those tasks, you're gonna pick 3 different letters to put beside each task. Okay. Letter A is for automate. Okay. I'm talk to you about it here in a second. D for delegate, and E for eliminate. Now, if you've heard me talk before, I talk a lot about look for automations and eliminations before you delegate. Those should always be your first things. How do I automate systems, things like that? How do I automate, or can I eliminate something before I ever look to see about delegating? Okay. So A is automate. So the question you're going to ask when you're looking at that task is, can tech or AI handle this for me? Can tech, like software, so Level Up Score, analyzes credit reports, creates plans, has the resources, does the updates, all blah, 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 right? If I can automate it, then I should put an A beside it. If tech can handle it or AI can handle it, A goes beside it. Even if I don't have that process built out all the way. This is available to me, I can do this, A goes beside it. D, delegate. You're going to ask the question, can a team member do this 80% as good as I can? Okay. The more systems you put in place for different things, and this is how we do it, it's repeatable, the more you can delegate as well. Okay. So again, automation always being the top one. And E, eliminate. So look at it. Simple systems do not scale. I'm sorry, complex systems do not scale. Simple systems do. So are you making it so complex and there's things in there that doesn't even need to be there? If that's the case, can you remove that? Are they not needle movers? Are they not things that are truly going to get the client to the goal you said they're going to get to? So if a client comes to you and you said, this is the result you're going to get from working with me, if you got crap in that system that's not going to help them get to this, take it out. Take it out. That's actually what they're paying you for. They're paying you for a simple process to get them to their goal. Think about that for a second. They are paying you for a simple process to take them to their goal, right? Because quite frankly, if I wanted to buy my first house and I didn't have someone that could help me make that simpler, and I just trying to haphazardly go figure it out myself, I'm going to have a lot of bumps, and I'm going to do things I didn't need to do, and I'm going to not understand something and all this stuff, this craziness. But if you tell me, hey, you don't have to worry about all that craziness, you don't have to have the bump in the road, the obstacle that you have to climb over, the confusion that you're doing things that you didn't need to do, I have a simple system on how you can get to that. That's what they're paying you for. So think about that. Eliminate stuff that doesn't need to be there, right? They don't need the bump. They don't need the obstacle. How can you pull that out of that system? Okay. So I recommend that you do that. So automate and eliminate should be the thing you should be focusing on most. And then the last part would be to delegate. Okay. And this is really how you start to buy your time back, not with money, but with clarity, right? You start to buy your time back. So freedom without systems is just burnout in disguise. If your business depends on you, it owns you. You can't scale chaos. You can only systemize it.